from the size of the informal sector, you say yes, there's need for them to be brought into the tax net. But however, when you look at it from the economic situation, you will find out that one of my friends called it taxing poverty. So I don't know how I will be able to balance up these two extreme views. However, we have been taking through the definition of informal sector. I try to look at the informal sector in terms of how do we even break it down by way of definition given by the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, CITN, where they look at the fact that using criteria of land and building and vis-a-vis the number of employees, an organization have to break them down. You look at what we constitute as a macro kind of business, where you look at about 5 million in terms of their land and building, then look at the number of staffs, about 10%. You look at the small ones, which talk about between less than 50 million in terms of the asset base, and the number of staffs between 10 to 49. Then the median, which is looking at around 500 million in terms of capital base, and the staff base of about 50 to 199. Now, I can understand from that perspective how these small and medium enterprises operate. The next thing that will come to the mind is, now, looking at the record of JTB and FRS, we say we have about roughly about 20 million taxpayers, in Nigeria as of today. But breaking it down further, you will find that out of these 20 million, about 15.3 goes to the individuals. Enterprise is about 1.9, and the corporate organization is about 1.5, while others is just less than a million. So you can see how huge those are actually regarded as the informal sector is. So looking at it from that angle, you will find out that yes, there's need for them to be brought into the tax net. But we are looking at revenue generation. Now, what are these kind of snapshots of global informal sector angle? You say that, look at it globally, they have over about 200 billion workers. This is the same sector that we're talking about in Nigeria today that have about 60% of people in employment in Nigeria. You look at it from the angle of contribution to GDP, about 15%, then 48% contribution to Nigerian GDP. That's huge. Now, we have been talking through in terms of the characteristics of informal sector. I only want to classify the informal sector from the angle of employment categories, where you look at those self-employment, that is including own account workers, the heads of family businesses, and the unpaid family workers. You look at the wages workers, including employees of informal enterprises, the casual workers without a fixed employer, home workers, paid domestic workers, and the rest. Then you have the employers that has to include them, including the owners and operators of informal sector. Now, but there's a pertinent question we need to ask, which is a take-home today. The question is, who are those actually excluded from the tax net? And what ways should tax authority at all levels ensure that the domestic tax base is widened? That is the burning sensation in which we will look at. Then, what are actually the reasons why we have this growth in the informal sector? There are a lot of reasons that have been advanced. One of them is the issue of economic hardship and poverty. You look at the issue of the weak institutions, the issue of infrastructure deficit. You will agree with me today that virtually business owners provide all that they need in business. Look at what is happening to the issue of diesel today. It's something of a huge when you talk about issue of business. Then there's the issue of the demand for low-cost goods and services. These are the things that are brought about reason why the informal sector continue to expand in Nigeria today. Then they have equally their own challenges. The issue of lack of documentation, the issue of lack of regulation, there's no room for growth, lack of government support, and the rest. All these things are some of the challenges being faced by those in the informal sector. Then there are lessons to be learned from some other countries. Countries like Ghana, we talk about 8% of their workforce is employed in the informal sector. Like Kenya, Tanzania, who equally operate a presumptive tax regime. You know, in their own, in Tanzania, they have about they charge businesses with about less than 100 million Tanzanian shillings. That's about $43,000. Now, still talking about the issue of administration of revenue by way of what have taken place in Nigeria, you look at what FRS have tried to do with CAC in terms of having an interface that automatically, once a company is incorporated, they are already in the tax net by virtue of the thing that is created along. Then we talk about things like Kwara State, they are doing a whole lot, Rivers State, Ogun State, and the Baba of them all, Lagos State. Then, however, we equally look at the fact that, looking at the contribution to this growth, there is a whole lot of issues around the role of technology. And what are we looking about? That is the issue of ICT, which has positively affected the creation of new businesses. And now the rationale for this relationship is that the information technology removes the barriers to entry, while also providing sector information, business skill information, and access to collective wisdom of many willing to share their experience and expertise in given area. Then a detailed analysis of the use of new technology and the distribution of digital skills among the population of emerging economies and developing countries shows further the difference. That is, talk about the correlation between the formal education, the place where they live, talk about the urban and the rural area, the age and the income, and the age and income among other factors. Now, what can we do in Nigeria? We have already agreed that some of these informal sectors, they majorly use the form of ITs that you talk about, issue of the social media. That is the Facebook, the Twitters, the Instagram, the VConnect, the GG, the Jumia, the OLX, and Congo, and so on. These are the platforms in which you see them call themselves CEOs. You know, virtually every young lady is a CEO by way of doing one business or the other. Then what can we do in Nigeria? We will talk about the fact that we need to look at issue of response technology. Very timely data collection, gathering. Government needs to partner with relevant trade unions, groups to comply with required information using technology. Then the integration of GIP platform, that is Government Enterprise Empowerment Programs, the GIPs, the consolidated levy or taxes. We are talking about the fact that there are multiplicity of taxes. Then talking about the need for them to consolidate, such that once somebody wants to make a payment in the informal sector, they know that we are doing just a single payment, then this can be distributed within the various platforms or within the agencies that are supposed to receive this. Not to be a situation you have that each of the agencies are coming up every day, distracting the business of this informal sector. Then the use of unstructured supplementary services data, USSD, partnership with social media and payment portals. Now, I have made some recommendations based on what the paper presenter talk about. That is, talk about issue of proper administration, tax harmonization, a need for new, unique, and persuasive techniques. You know, you need to talk about there's need for government to try and bring other persuasive techniques, such as inclusive governance, by involving people in the budget process and implementation of capital projects through qualified indigenes of the state. Then there's need for aggressive publicity. I use the word aggressive. They need to do more. Then government funding in terms of awareness, employment and training of more officers, collaboration with intergovernment agencies and the rest. And what are the possible solutions? We look at the taxes of informal sectors through market association, business groups, and unions. They deploy technology to help track and collect information on informal sector businesses. Then taxes of digital businesses through collaboration with banks and fintechs. Okay, I'll just conclude quoting somebody like Jim Young. He said that for fair and effective tax system, combined with good service delivery and public accountability, build citizens' trust in government and help society prosper. Thank you.
Came from the angle of the social contract theory, which means everybody must pay. And I don't see how payment of taxes can actually affect the poor, if not enhance and make their life a lot better. In all the society, researchers have shown world over, wherever there is a direct correlation, a direct relationship between internal taxes and sources of revenue of government, the standard of living of the people are usually better. So, and our law is robust enough to have catered for all the poor people. We are very quick to refer to that we are taxing poverty.
It's here, and 2 from online, because COVID-19 has actually, given that balance. Do I have anyone in the house? 2 in-house here.
Nwabuzor. I'm the immediate past president of the institute. My membership number is 672. I have listened to everything, and I think what we also need to do is, in terms of enlightenment and education, is the translation of some of these laws into vernaculars, indigenous languages. If you travel along the borders of Nigeria, you'll see that the whole length of our borders, trading is carried out by informal sector. I think we should translate the custom requirements into the languages by the border. For example, English, French, by the border. Because these are the people who do business, and they do a lot of business. If they do not understand what they're supposed to do, the custom people and the immigration will take advantage of them. So we need to also, especially now that after is on, we need to let them know what they're supposed to be doing, what items are liable to VAT, to other taxes, and what items are not. Because if they do not know, they cannot bring them in, and then we cannot tax. You find that I will just be taking advantage of them. That is just my area of intervention.
Section, my name is Tina Bapatokwe, membership number 16262. I want to base my question on the challenges. I was expecting to hear this introduction of features in all the technology being introduced to use. We that are in the formal sector, when you go in front of your laptop, you want to make your filings, and you get there and you are having challenges to submit. By the time you now go back to the maybe customer service, they will now tell you that new features has been introduced. And with this, you will find it difficult to submit your returns. Now, coming back to informal sector, when they encounter things like this, what do you want them to do? I think this is a big challenge for us.
Silvanus Izaroha is my name. Membership number 2170. I'd like first off to thank the paper presenters, the discussant, and the chairman of the session. Very well prepared, presented. And in fact, everything has gone very fine. My intervention really is actually from the point of the administrators. We've heard clearly all the very beautiful proposals, benefits, recommendations that have been given with respect to the amount of support that could be given to the collection of taxes, which currently everybody has alluded to the fact that it is at least at the fairest, it's very low, and that we need to do much more than we are doing right now, and that technology has come to the rescue. All the very many things we've been told, fine, but I have a challenge with the challenge that the presenter gave to us, some of the challenges, why we cannot deploy technology. I mentioned something around inadequate IT experts, system downtime, poor interface development, and all of these are actually at the foot of the administrator. And what I hear from the discussion on this point is the fact that perhaps they don't have enough funds, and that is why they cannot employ others and pay and keep these IT experts and all that. So it will appear to me, all said and done, that perhaps maybe our administrators, maybe the government, are only just paying lip service to the fact that we are saying we want to get, because if we see this as something that is really important, and we need to rev up our revenue and at least try to be like our other African countries.
FCTI membership number 6083. Thank you so very much for the very beautifully delivered papers. I have an issue with the chairman on his comments, yes. Yeah, on his comment about taxing domestic staffs and all that. At the moment he said that, I said, this man does not know that those people are already being paid from already taxed income of the employees. But then, if everybody must pay taxes, then we must look at it as a social contract on both sides. And to make it easier, we would encourage that the government should tie some benefits to the taxes that you pay. You can't want me to be my own government on one side, and then you want me to pay all my earnings on income. But if I know there's something I need to get from the government, for which I'll have to prove that I have paid taxes before I can benefit from that. That makes it a lot easier. I think we need to look at it more from that angle. It's very good to pay taxes. I am an advocate of tax paying, but we also need to ensure that the compliance, the cost of compliance is reduced to the barest minimum. What comes to mind quickly is the recently introduced, well, not recently introduced policy on CAFA, on fixed asset approval. You know, it's adding huge costs to business owners. It's not funny. That particular law is archaic. And we need to look at what was the exchange rates of dollars. I mean, to our currency, after the time the law was made and made 500,000 to what it is right now. And somebody has $1 billion worth of, what's it called, asset, or $2 million worth of asset. You say you must go and collect a certificate of acceptance first before he can claim a capital allowance. Those are giving cost of running the business. So we shouldn't add to the burdens of already burdened taxpayers.
It came up and there was a circular from FIRS. What FIRS does from time to time is that they also rub minds with stakeholders when certain issues are contentious. I can assure you that yesterday we had a meeting with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, representatives of organized private sector, and the representatives of Industrial Inspection Division of Federal Ministry of Industries. And we came up with a resolve to go back and look at those issues, because we believe that even the payment of taxes is in the interest of the whole nation. We are the administrators, we are not the only people enjoying the money. Everybody here, security, infrastructure, and everything. But we don't want to also kill the goose that lays the golden egg. We know the importance of manufacturers, that if we keep on overflogging them, the tendency that some of them might leave Nigeria for other climes is there. So yesterday we held a meeting, and in the shortest possible time, because we agreed that we are going to present the position paper. It's not impossible that those things might be rescinded, but I cannot tell you now, but because other stakeholders are also looking at it.
Society, modern society, tax payments and everything, we see that everybody must pay and maintain my position. Thomas Hobbes, in the State of Nature, said that life was nasty, short, and brutish. Might was right. If I can beat you, I can take all your assets. And reasonable men came together and said that, no, we'll all go the way of the dinosaur, go into extinction if we continue this way. Man was born free, but then that freedom is dangerous in itself. So we must submit our individual liberties to a constitutional authority that we call government. And by so doing, we demonstrate that submission by compulsory payment of taxes.